You finally connect with somebody that you feel attracted to. You're excited. You're drawn in. You put all of your hopes and dreams in this basket. And then after a few days or weeks, things start to unravel in a way that feels familiar. Maybe you realize that they're not emotionally available, or they're hot and cold, or they need to be saved. And you find yourself experiencing the same hurt that you've experienced so many times before. You keep telling yourself that this time it will be different. And with slow dating, it actually can be. Today, we're going to be talking about understanding your attractions.
And you may also find yourself in a bit of the opposite situation where it was all feeling great. And now all of a sudden you feel like you've lost yourself. You're off-centered. You can't think straight anymore. And you're wondering, what the heck is happening? I need to run and go immediately.
Yeah. Both of those things will happen. Stick around to the end because we're also going to walk you through a practice that helps you feel that spark, hold that spark instead of, going too deep, too fast or running away. So that instant spark, that chemical reaction that feels so nice is nice, enjoy that feeling, but also know that it's pointing at an attachment wound of some sort, some familiarity that you built in childhood, which, and I've said this before, I'll say it again here. If you're here listening to this podcast, it's not because you found your partner and your dating life is going well. So we're going to pause here with this flare up of chemical delight and look at what's inside it. 'Cause there's actually a lot of helpful information for you in there.
I feel very called out, and I wish I knew all this sooner. I remember a time dating this man, and he said so many amazing things to me. I was so drawn to him. He said, "Oh, you're so warm. You're so joyful and playful and fun, and you're so smart." And my response was like, wait, what? You think that? You see that in me? And I was like hooked. I was like, I'm in love with you. You're obviously my person. And that was the spark. It felt like this is my person. I have been waiting forever to be seen in this way, to have someone express these things out loud to me. My parents didn't do it. My past partners didn't do it. And I was like, hooray, finally, I found the one. And then slowly I realized, oh, those are just words.
In the last episode, we talked about knowing ourselves and knowing these things about ourselves, right? When someone sees us in that way and we've been hiding from ourselves and from everybody else, and they finally see all this stuff in us that we've been yearning to be seen, we're like, they must be the one because they finally see me. But if we just weren't hiding all the time and we're recognizing these wonderful, true things about ourselves regularly, we wouldn't need that from them.
Hey, what do you mean? I liken it to like I'm trekking for days across the desert and I'm parched and I just want a tiny sip of water. And someone actually just appears out of nowhere and has this whole flask of beautifully ice cold water for me. And I'm like, yes, please, you're the one. Mm-hmm. And I really had to learn the things that someone is saying to me can be very true. They can even really mean them. But that doesn't mean they're the one. And I made that mistake so many times before.
And I know for you years later, once you had done a bunch of this work, you went on another date with another man who said, you're so warm and delightful and fun, and I love all these things about you. And instead of that desperate need, you were like, thanks. I know.
Yeah. That was my big win. I went home after that date and I think I did a happy dance. I was like, holy crap. Like this just happened. This man was so complimentary of me, and I could tell in both cases, that first guy and this one, they were genuine. I could feel that it was a genuine seeing in me and a genuine compliment. But the second time around felt so different. I was like, yes, thanks. Mm-hmm. And like my inside voice says, I know that. I know these things about me. I love these things about me. And I think it's delightful that you see them in me and you're telling me. And also, I don't desperately need you to tell me that anymore.
Hallelujah. And I think there's a mainstream version of this that I used to experience before I had any actual self-regard. And it was this like defensive, like, yeah, I'm awesome. Screw you. I'm the best, which is not the same as like, oh, thanks. Like, thanks for noticing.
Yeah. It was a real quiet, like, yeah, you know it. I know it. We're good.
And now we can actually get to know each other. So this spark and this attraction is going to have two components to it. It's going to have the unconscious and the conscious stuff. So the unconscious stuff is all of that old familial patterning that you're accustomed to. And the conscious stuff is often the opposite of that, right? The thing that we know that we want because it's not what we got at home. The thing that we've been yearning for and that we didn't get when we were younger or still today in our family systems. For example, for me, I have been accustomed to being shamed. And so if I met a guy who shamed me and belittled me, that would feel comfortable to me. I'd be like, yes, I deserve that. That's normal. That's family. And this relationship then would work. That was the unconscious stuff. Consciously, it was things like, I want a big, brash, bold personality because that feels like fiery and exciting to me. And I mean, at some point, we'll talk about the reality of that, which in my experience was attracting people with like mental health issues or belligerence problems. An alcoholic is a pretty bold, brash, loud kind of guy, which is not the same as grounded passion.